Welcome to the Wow Forum podcast. I'm Amyah Wright, and this is my co-host,
Josalind Rogers.
And today we're joined by Miss LaRoyce Marsh, owner of Detrespa Consignment and Vintage Boutique. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to jump straight into the question of what inspired the name of your boutique. Is there any special meaning behind it?
Yes, it is. And I always feel like I should have some big, elaborate explanation of how I came about that name. But it's really simple. My family was very instrumental in me being able to open and get the store ready. And I had stayed at home for 18 years until my daughter started college. My son was getting ready to graduate. My daughter was getting ready to start. And they all pitched in and their friends with, getting the place fixed up. So the D is for Donald, who's my husband. Mm-hmm. TRE is Tyler Reed, my son. And SPA is Sydney Page, my daughter.
That's beautiful.
That's how I came about that name.
I love that.
So how did you first get started into the vintage styling world?
Vintage was by accident, actually. I won't say accident, it wasn't intentional for me. I had opened up the consignment store and I've always liked vintage, but I hadn't thought about having a vintage section in the store. And a woman came in with 30 vintage hats. And she was just like, LaRoyce, you take these. And I was a hat wearer. So I took them and they sold fairly quickly. And then people say, oh, I didn't know you had vintage. I have a vintage coat or I have a vintage piece. And that's how people started bringing in vintage. And now my vintage is more well-known than my regular consignment.
What kind of pieces can customers expect to find when they go to your boutique?
My has always been everything from Gap to Gucci in the store. So, and it truly is from Gap to Gucci vintage and from Gap to Gucci contemporary. It was very eclectic.
Let me go
again.
Yeah.
Threw me off.
Literally.
What makes your boutique different from other vintage stores or thrift stores?
I think the difference is that what we have to offer a lot of consignment, because I'm a consignment store, which is a little bit different than a thrift store. Mm-hmm. People bring things in and then I sell them and I do a 50-50 split for that. So we're a lot more selective than just having things that people have just dropped off and donated at a thrift store. I try to, by you having different people coming in, a lot of consignment stores sort of have an idea of what kind of customer they want. Mm-hmm. It may be a young, they may only want teenagers or an older clientele or more business related. I wanted the store to be reflective of my closet, which is a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think our clientele are so diverse. Mm-hmm. And we just try to have a real, just like that kind of vibe. And people come in the store, they always talk about it's not your average consignment or vintage store. You just walk right in and it's try to be warm and welcoming, not only with our customers that are coming to the store, but also just the environment itself. So
a question. So if you didn't own a store or anything like that, what do you think you would be doing? Did you have any secondary options before?
Before I did work, I was administrator of a legal fund in Philadelphia, and I went back to work when I had my son, but I stopped working after I had my daughter and we moved to Birmingham. I don't know that I would be back in the regular business world. I think it would do something with fashion, and I have no idea what that would be, but it probably would be fashion related.
So you'd say you've always been into fashion, even since a kid?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Definitely. So you mentioned Philadelphia. How was your life up there?
It was good. I'm a city girl, so we lived in the cities. You always had a lot of different shopping options. There was we had a big downtown area, but my mom was a big shopper, so we would do everything from thrift stores to high-end department stores, sale racks, of course, but we would do a lot. And I remember the very first mall in our area, which wasn't really in Philadelphia, it was outside of Philadelphia, and we would drive out there, take a little family, road trip. We would go and get something to eat and drive out and watch the progression of the mall being built.
That's
wonderful. Oh my.
I know you used to be located in Homewood for 11 years. what have you found in the Woodlawn area that you wouldn't have expected to find?
I think that people, I thought it would have been a lot harder for, sometimes when you come into things that are established neighborhoods, it's hard to fit in. It's hard for people to, like, to not be cliquish and not like you're not from here and you're not from, and Woodlawn's a history with a neighborhood feel and everybody knows everybody. But that's worked out to my advantage because now you come in, then you go and you tell your friends to come by. So it's been good. It's been good for me.
Okay, so you've mentioned, I'm sorry, you've mentioned like donating and giving back to the community, like schools like I3 Academy and Woodlawn Magnet High School. What does giving back mean to you?
We were growing up. My mother, there were four of us. I had two sisters and a brother. So we were always outgrowing things. And so my mother we were always instilled to pass it on. If you can't use it, pass it on and pass it on in good condition. Don't just think that just because somebody doesn't have something that they deserve to have less. They deserve to have something that's dirty or torn or, not good condition. So in consignment, I try to be very conscious of the things that we take in and the things that we donate. I get a lot of things in that I can't use them in the store for whatever reason. It could be the style. It could be I have too many of a certain thing. So we try to pass those on to communities to somebody that needs it. We do everything from donating coats and jackets to schools. And we do have, we don't do kids clothing, but our smaller sizes we will donate out to like elementary schools or anybody that needs them. We've donated wedding dresses to the ladies in the senior citizen home that are getting married and they've never had a wedding. They want a wedding, and we stopped carrying wedding dresses. We kept them in storage so that people needed a wedding dress, they could just come get one.
That's amazing. That's very thoughtful. How does your boutique reflect the spirit of Woodlawn?
I think in the diversity of it, we have things for everybody. We try we're very inclusive in in who's welcome at our store. And if you were coming in looking for a dress, we don't care who's looking for a dress. Right. If you're coming in, you're looking for a suit or more. We try to have a community in Detrespa, and in our Detrespa community, we're inclusive of everybody. So,
okay, so when we recently came into your store, we felt the vibe of the store was very warming and comforting. Is that what? So, with that being said, what do you want your customers or people to feel when they come in?
Exactly that. Because I remember you guys when you came in, you had your backpacks on. It was like late in the afternoon. So I like for you to come in. I welcome everybody when you come to the store, but for the most part, I leave you alone, let you look around and, ask anybody if they need any help. And one of the things that I try to encourage people, if you don't, because there's always a lot going on in that store. There's always a lot. You don't run out of things to look at in there. But I also tell people that if you're looking for something in particular and you don't see it, feel free to ask me because it's not out there on the floor doesn't mean that I don't have it.
We've seen your Instagram page and we loved looking at all the models model all of your vintage clothing and consignment clothing. How do you find your models, or do you find them?
Most of the models that are on our Instagram pages, we have some that may be, especially on our website, some of those models are where they use Detrespa things in different shoots from different places. But if you see something that looks local, those are all friends of Detrespa. They are all, customers or friends that we have that are like photographers that'll come in and they're like, LaRoyce, I'm doing this shoot. The last couple of things we worked with like a photographer and stylist that we're doing shoots. So everybody is pretty local.
Yeah. So me and Amyah both love modeling and fashion and everything you're standing for. So would you love to would collaborating with us on like
love it. You don't, and I try to even make that really relaxed and easy because I don't necessarily like pulling a lot of things for people to come in when we're doing shoots. I like you to come in and find things that you like, and then I put them together because I feel like you do a better picture and it's a better vibe when you're standing something that I really like this jacket, and that's going to project on the picture.
How would you help them? How would you incorporate? Let me figure out how to phrase this. When you say you want them to come in and pick what they like, how would you incorporate other things into that outfit?
Say if you came in and you liked and you wanted to do a vintage shoot, something primarily vintage. So I was like, okay, go pick some things here that you like. And you may pick some things where I'm just like, to me, they may not make sense, but then I'll just make it make sense. You know what I mean? I said, okay, well, this isn't going to work together, but we can take these pants and then I'll do this jacket from over here. And so we try to pull the whole look together, but the base of the look is something that you've liked and you picked.
So with the I'm loving all the jewelry you're having on right now.
Love.
So like, the jewelry that you have on, does it like meaningful to you, or it just like matches with your outfit?
Mostly just matches, except for my bracelets, which I wear some combination of these every day because my mother makes these for me. Wow. So
how does she make those?
I don't know. I have no talent with jewelry at all. But but my mother does these for me.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, I also see your tattoos.
Yeah,
can I see those?
So this is my son and my daughter. This is my first one that I ever had. This one is so these appear, but I have two. My brother recently passed away. But I have a brother and two sisters, and we all had these. So the upper dots were like our parents, and then I'm the oldest, so my circle is open, and then it's the rest of them. So their circle is open depending on which one they are.
Oh.
And this one is like mother and child. So this is me, my son, and my daughter. And then this one is my family. So that's my husband, myself, my son, my daughter, and my one grandson. So I told them I left space open for any other grandchildren.
Oh,
it was really nice.
So you mentioned your children. What do your children do?
My son is the head coach of the Chicago Sky, and my daughter is a fashion stylist in New York.
Oh, wait, you said Chicago Sky. Wait, so Angel Reese and Flage and all of them? Oh, we love it.
I just went to, they had a game they played in Atlanta this past Sunday, and my parents came in from Virginia Beach and my sister came in from Miami, and we drove to Atlanta to see their game.
Wow.
Yeah. So one question for your daughter. You said she was in New York. What type of work does she do, like up there? Does she work with any important people?
She does styling, so she's a fashion stylist. She has I don't know if she does Monica McNutt and Andrea on she's like ESPN reporters. She is like an NBA player. She does a lot of stars for certain events like Met. One of her very first people that she ever worked with in New York when she was an assistant was Cardi B. So that was so she's worked with Jennifer Lopez, and she works with a lot of different people.
Have you ever got to
meet?
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
No, I've never gotten to meet anybody.
Dang. Well, what fashion advice would you give to people who are trying to discover their style?
Don't be scared to experiment with things. Just wear what you like. Don't get so caught up in what's in fashion or what so-and-so is wearing, because if you don't feel good in it, you're not going to project anything. And a lot of people come in starting like, oh, I'm too old to wear this, or I don't want to, that. But I don't know, I'll have one. I put on what I like.
Right.
So I'm liable to have one Converses and a dress.
Yeah. So if a student wants to shadow you or work with you at the store, what can they expect to be doing?
Some of everything. It's a one-woman show down there. It's just me. I don't have any employees. Anytime you see anybody in the store helping out, it's really just like friends coming in. We did work with Birmingham Promise last semester. We had a student for the semester.
I was a Birmingham Promise intern, but unfortunately I didn't get to do it with you. But are you looking for any help there?
Well, we look for free help.
I would
We need
gladly do free
volunteers.
help.
We have volunteers, but you can come in anytime. Anytime you guys want to come in, especially if you have a idea that you would like to do. Like you may have a look that you just like. I would really just like to see what this feels like. Or pictures. You can come in anytime. We have any kind of vibe you want. You can find it in there as far as something to wear and play around with it. Most of the times we shoot. Unless a photographer and a stylist have something planned on their own, we shoot everything like right around here. So,
Yeah. So how do you stay motivated when it comes to business getting hard or anything like that? How do you stay motivated?
I just love it. You know, I love doing what I do. I love the different people that come in. Most of them. You have to get your mind right with some customers, but I usually just kind of. So I love what I'm doing. I think that's the most important thing to do. I mean, I started my business after turning 50. I had never even worked in a store before.
Wow, that's inspirational. Do you have a favorite thing about being located in the Woodlawn area? Like, does anything stand out to you, or?
I don't know that I have a favorite thing, but I feel like, and I've been in Homewood, and I enjoyed the time that I was in Homewood, and probably I had no intention of moving, but new owners came in and they bought our shopping center. They came in like that October, and in November they gave everybody to January to move. So this was like a quick kind of, the space was open, I'd move. But for some reason, the space is much smaller than the space I had, and the neighborhood, everything is much different. I felt like that's where we're supposed to be. It was just some kind of like, like this is where I'm supposed to be. So,
What is it? What's a hard lesson that you've learned while in business?
that it's a lot of work. A lot of times people think that having your own business makes it easy. I don't have a boss, I don't have but that actually makes it harder because all the responsibility is on you, So I think people think it's a lot easier than what it is. People think that, and especially when you're in retail, people think that, I could do this online or I could set up a website. None of that stuff is easy.
Yeah.
Even doing social media things, and that takes time. It's a lot of things involved. You're wearing like 1,000 different hats. So I just think it's a commitment. It's a commitment, and you just got to put a lot of work into it.
Do you have any advice for somebody who's trying to become an owner or entrepreneur, or?
When you really think that you've sat down and you've thought about it and that's what you want to do, I don't think there's ever like just a perfect time for it. I think at some point you just got to step out on faith and just do it. And hopefully it everything, with prayer and hard work and support, I think that, you give it your shot. Sometimes people's businesses last for generations. Sometimes it lasts for a couple of years. Sometimes it doesn't even last that long. So I've been fortunate that mine's lasted as long as it has. But and my mother was one of the main reasons. She would come to visit, and we would go to different stores, different consignment stores, and I was like, oh, this is really nice. I could do this, or, and then one time she was just like, why don't you just do it? Like, why don't you? So I was like, yeah, why don't I? And then I went around and I looked for places. I figured out what I could afford. I thought about what my expenses would be, and that's how that determined where I looked for. I knew what I needed as far as to be in like someplace, a safety standpoint, how much money I could spend. Consignment was good because you didn't have to put out a lot of money for inventory. A lot of people go into like these boutiques and they don't realize how much you have to spend to get the inventory to open up your store. I called my friends. I was like, I'm opening up a consignment store. I called my sisters and my friends. I said, I know how you dress. Send me a box of something. I don't care whether it's handbags, shoes, clothes, whatever. I put a big sign outside the door saying new consignment store coming. And I said, I said, I've got 30 days before I'm going to be open because I can't pay rent for more than 30 days without being open. And that's how I opened a store. And if you saw pictures of when I first opened compared to anything in like the last 10 years, you'd be like, you got to be you kidding me. But that's why I did, and it just worked out.
So, in the fashion world, to you, who has been a role model? Who was a role model to you? You mentioned you've been in fashion since you were a child. Who was your biggest role model?
I don't know that I had a big role model because I wasn't just into like to a particular designer or a particular store or a particular brand or anything like that. There used to be a show that came on called Style. And it would come on Saturdays on CNN before CNN was like all news and everything. And a friend of mine, where everybody else was out and about in the afternoon, at 2:00 we were watching because they would show fashion shows from all over the world. Mm-hmm. So I had like a lot of exposure to different things and different designers and looks and styles, and everything. And I've always been eclectic, so I've always liked a little bit of everything.
So like, okay, so fashion shows and models. Do you like the new generation of models? Zendaya, she's a model. What's her name? I'm thinking of a model. I can't think of her name at the moment, but she has vitiligo, and it's just like
I know who you're talking about.
I forgot her name.
Winnie
Harlow. Yes, I love her so much.
Yeah, I love Zendaya. I like the models like now and people that are in fashion now because you don't necessarily have to be those two are extremely like tall and skinny, but that's not the look. You have a lot of people that are in the fashion world that are like musicians or entertainers that aren't your standard model body type, but they're very much into fashion. They very much have like looks that you can look at and you can say, okay, I can see myself wearing that, or I can, you don't have to be 6 feet tall and 120 pounds to wear that and to look good. Mm-hmm. And they're more willing to just express themselves, and like they want to mix what they want to mix and do that, and which I think is important. I think you like developing your own style.
What would you say to somebody who wanted to become a model or more confident in themselves through fashion? Me personally, I'm struggling with self-confidence. Like, what would you say to somebody who wants to put themselves out there but is just struggling?
Yeah,
I think you've got to do it, but you don't have to do it all at one time. You don't have to jump from not wanting to be in a big public view to jumping out on stage in front of 500 people.
Right.
You can start off with just coming down to Trespa and things and taking some pictures and post them on Instagram. So I think it's like you can have a goal, but you don't have to get it like right then. It's okay to take steps like towards that. And then when you're comfortable with coming down to Trespa to do it, then you'll be comfortable with maybe like doing one of our fashion shows. Yes. And then so it's I think it's a process. Sometimes you need to push yourself, but you don't have to jump all the way right off the bat. And I think when you build your confidence up, it makes you get more comfortable. What's going to work for you. Mm-hmm. Like I like doing this, but I don't like doing that. I like doing pictures for Instagram, but I don't want to be in a fashion show. I like working the fashion show part. Like we have a lot of friends that come in, and when we do fashion shows, they love being around it. They don't want to be in it, but they like pulling the looks together. They like, they'll come in when we're doing things and getting everything ready, working with the models, making sure that they're looking, when they go out. So there's a lot of different, ways to get involved with it. That'll work for you. That'll fit you.
Yeah, I have one last question, and then we, wrap up. Mm-hmm. What role do you think fashion plays into culture?
Well, I think for a long time, especially for us in African American society, that was a way that you could just sort of express yourself. You could, regardless of what was going on during your work week, or where you had to go to work or what you had to do. We stepped out on Sundays, so it was like, or when you were going out. So I think it was just a way to build up your self-esteem and express how you really feel. So I just think that that's always been important, and not just with us, but I think with us in particular, so.
One more question I want to add on top of that. Do you have any upcoming fashion shows?
We have something in September. There's something in September, and we'll probably have something else in the fall, like something like later on in the fall, like before holiday time.
And would you just have to come to the shop to see about it? I will definitely be doing that.
We definitely will do that.
Yep. And then also, if you guys look, whatever your organization, because we're getting ready to start something where we're going to be doing consignment, like sort of consignment for a cause, where if you're trying to raise funds for something, then you get your friends or you get your parents or whoever to donate things into the store, consign things into the store, and then the proceeds from that go towards whatever you're raising funds for. And our plan is to do a fashion show with that in mind, celebrating that. And we're aiming for something in September.
Okay.
For that.
So,
But then we get invited to do a lot of other fashion shows where it's not our fashion show, but we do the vintage segment of it.
Yeah. Well, I would love to become a part of, yeah.
We would. Like, because modeling is everything.
Well, you definitely have to come in, and we'll talk about it and set something, because you don't have to wait for us to do a fashion show. We can do a photo shoot with you, and it's a good way for if you may have friends that aren't into modeling but they're really into photography, so that they wanted to get experience with that. So you can bring we're not locked into we do, or you have some space that you want to do it in. So yeah,
That would be great. I would love to do that. Well, do you have any more questions?
No.
Do you have any questions for us?
no, it's been really good talking to you, and I'm glad for this opportunity for me. I'm glad for you all as well, and I just want you to know that a lot of times things look easy. I think social media makes a lot of young people think that they're not doing as much, or not doing what they should be doing, or not doing it in a particular way. I think it's very important that you decide what's good for you and not compare to other people and what other people are doing. And if you want to get into fashion, just figure out a way. And a lot of times people are there, will be supportive. I try to help people. People know, they come into the store, they're like, Ms. LaRoyce, we need a mannequin for this, or we need this for that. I said, come in, because I don't want you to be hindered for something that's easily workable. That I may not have it, or I may not know how to do it, but I know somebody else that does. And the same thing with you guys. You want to do a fashion show, you don't have to wait for somebody else to do a fashion show. If you have a place you want to do a fashion show, say, LaRoyce, I want to plan a fashion show. Look at the place. You don't have to worry about getting something, getting the clothes or anything. But if you have the models and you have the photographer, then if you want to play around with planning them, you may want to plan fashion shows. So don't be afraid to ask for or go reach out to people to help you, because more often than not, like I said, or at least in the group that the friends I try to surround myself in, we try to help, especially young people, as much as we can. So just putting that out there for you.
Well, great.
It has been a treasure talking to you today.
Well, you're wonderful, actually. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And come in the store anytime. Anytime.
I'll be visiting real soon.
That's
a promise.
Yeah.
Okay.